Yeah, let's have Sir Manjit. Anna.
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Sarbajit. I am the edERP consultant and I've been working with SoftType for the last 6 years. I've literally grown up with SoftType. By the way, I'm the same guy who's on the banner. Without the beard, I might not look the same, but I'm the same guy, trust me. Okay. And I will walk you through the various modules that Nana just gave you a little brief about. Okay, and give you a little snippets of how it looks like in the system, and maybe it would be good if you try to relate it to your system, because the names and everything might not be the same as you use right now. I'll try to make it as much as relatable as possible, but then again, if you feel that you have any questions, you can stop me. We'll try to answer there. Ria, we are taking questions in between as well, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
You can share the
Okay.
screen, by the way, Sir Budget now, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Okay. Can someone confirm that they can see my screen? And
It's
I'm
Still
trying
black,
coming.
to.
but
It's
now it's
loading.
loading. Now
Yeah.
it's in.
Okay. All right. So yeah. Hmm. The first thing that we are going to discuss here is
Sorry,
the course
Pratik, can you make
Yeah.
the presentation modes, please?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. The first thing that we are going to discuss is the course management or the curriculum scheduling part, which we have seen based on our experience that the schools right now are doing, who are not on cloud or who are not using edERP. They essentially do it on a separate system, or they do it on an Excel sheet, which actually becomes a pain, because it becomes very difficult to relate it to the student records or things like that, right? So in that case, the class scheduling becomes a very important part of school administration. And this class scheduling, what does this involve? Okay, it involves the various subjects that are there in the curriculum. Say suppose in grade 7 you are teaching English, you're taking Vietnamese, you're teaching mathematics, you're teaching algebra. So all of these subjects together, they comprise the curriculum of the school for a specific class. Sections, it's pretty simple. You will have multiple sections for a class, and they have to be designed in a way that the classes do not overlap each other, or maybe the faculties that you are assigning to, they do not overlap each other at the same time, right? Also, while assigning the classes or while creating the classes, you have to keep in mind the maximum allowed number of students. So say suppose you are creating sections of, say suppose, 30-35 students, and you want to keep in mind that only 35 students will be allowed to take up the classes, so you can schedule the classes accordingly. So you see, there are so many important facets while designing the schedules, and it becomes extremely difficult when you do it via Excel sheet. I'm sure people who do it right now, they will agree to it, because suppose someone has to create, say suppose, 8-9 sections. In that case, it becomes very troublesome to do it on an Excel sheet, right? So now, having said what course management essentially does, I will just like to show it to you on the screen how it looks like. Okay. Let me pull up the NetSuite screen. I've changed the screen so everyone can see it. Can someone just confirm?
Yes, it can be
Okay,
seen.
great. All right. So think of this as this James Harry is one of the persons who usually schedules this. So it can be the think of this as maybe an administrator of your school, or maybe a registrar from your school, who essentially creates the classes and schedules them according to the availability of the faculties or the classrooms and things like that, right? So we will try to create show you how essentially a class is scheduled in the system. So say suppose you've taken up a school premise of yours, and you take up a specific curriculum. So in this case, what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a schedule for a grade 11 school, and there are certain filters based on which, so grade 11, there's science, technology, engineering track that is present. This is what it is called in the Philippines. I'm not really sure what it is, what the exact term is in Vietnam, but I think it is understandable for you, right? Then you go to this batch section, and it loads up all the classes. So I have already a pre-schedule, classes scheduled before. I'll just show you how it is done, right? So you can see here, this is essentially all the subjects which are taught in the grade 11, right? And you have the number of classes per week. By the way, these are all the information that has to be pre-fed in the system, right? Now you want to set up the timings of these courses, right? So in that case, you click on the section, you set up the timings. So you can see here, you set up the timings here, and based on the time that you have set, it comes up in the form of a timetable, right? So this is how you can schedule the classes without the hassle of, looking every time that, okay, I have in section 1 for this value subject, I have assigned this time. So what have I assigned for section 2, right? So in that case, you can get rid of the hassle of looking into multiple Excel sheets all the time together and get it ready in the system itself, right? So this is one of the pieces that edERP offers, and it has helped a lot of schools in many ways because, as I said, it is a very troublesome job to schedule classes, right? And especially at this time of the pandemic, when everyone is not coming to the school premises often, it is very important for everyone to have an access to a system, and they know which parts they are restricted to, right? So course scheduling does this piece where you can schedule the classes from your home, and making sure that your online classes of two faculties do not overlap each other, the timings do not overlap each other, or things like that. All right, the next piece I'll move on to is another important piece, which is essentially from the perspective of the student. It is called the admissions process. Okay. Now, when I talk about admissions, we have seen various schools. They have various different admission processes, but we have the best practices what we have seen in school. But again, we always had to change a little bit every time a school comes up with their own requirement, right? So in this case, what happens essentially is there's an admission form that the student has to fill out, and they fill out the form where they have an access to a portal to themselves. So say suppose in this case, me, Nana, Anastasia, Ria, all four of us, we are taking an admission, right, into say suppose Renaissance School, right? And all of us in that case will have an access to a portal of our own. Imagine this as an Amazon portal, how you have. Similarly, you will have an access to a portal of your own, and you can fill out your admission form, right, where you will put in all the information that is required. I'll show you in the system how it looks like. You will fill out the admission form, and so that to ensure that you have all my information that you want to keep, you have all Nana's information that you want to keep in the system, you have all Anastasia's information that you want to keep it in the system without using any pen and paper, right? So the problem of keeping the information, losing papers and all of these things, these troubles are gone, right? We have seen many a times that schools want to collect documents from other students, right? So say suppose me as a student, I'm taking admission for grade 7th or grade 8th, right? And the school wants to know how I have done till the grade 6th, grade 7th, right? So you want my report cards for those grade 6th and 7th to be submitted to the school. So in that case, instead of students coming into the school and providing you a piece of paper where you keep Xerox paper where you keep the mark sheets and all these transcripts and all these things in the school premises, what we provide is we provide you a link where you can just upload these documents, a scanned copy maybe, and all this information that is there, it will be kept in the system itself. There's another concept. Many schools, they want to want the students to go through a process of taking up an exam, right? So in that case, what we allow is the students, once they have filled out the admission form, if a school has the process of taking up exams, in that case they can schedule their own exams and take up those exams, and based on that You can pass or fail them based on how they do it. You can accept or reject their applications, and you can just confirm them an email by an email communications, which usually gets triggered automatically, right? So you can see here how the entire process from the registration of the students to the acceptance of the student in the school is handled without even the student coming into the school, right? So so from distant parts of the country, if the student wants, if they want to come up and take up get admitted in your school, you can do it via just edERP and without the students coming into the school. We have been told many a times that we lose out on students because they cannot come up to the school every time they have to take admissions. So this is another hassle that we have removed via edERP, right? So now just let's look a little as to how this admission process flows, and then I will show it in the system. Okay. So here you can see the student fills out the admission form. There's a disposition process, and in the entire communication happens automated via email. So you do not, as I said, you do not have to, send a piece of paper or letter or something like that, that you have been accepted and things like that. So entire communication happens via email, which is triggered from the system automatically, right? Again, as I said, entrance exam, it is optional. You may want to take it up in your school. You might not want to. But if you want, in that case, there can be another email that can be triggered that you have been accepted and things like that. And once you have accepted a student in the school, they can go to the process of enrollment, right? Now let's see how this looks like in the system. All right. Okay. So just give me a minute. Okay. So just some time back, I was talking about how we provide a student portal to every student that is there. Remember the example I was giving where me, Nana, Anastasia, and Ria were going to school. We were taking admissions to the school, right? So this is how essentially a school system, how a student's portal looks like, where they have all the basic information that that he wants specific to himself available, which includes, say, suppose this, how much money they have to pay, what is the information, what kind of, if the school has any, announcements to make and things like that. They can make direct payments from this system, from this portal as well, right? So this becomes a very important factor because the student gets to see all the important features that is there that is provided specific to exclusive to himself, right? So here, as you can see here in this K12 admission part, there's an admission assistant and there's an admission form. I have already pulled up a pre-filled out admission form. This is again an admission form which we have filled out for a specific student, and it contains the information based on the best practices that we have seen, right? And again, this admission form varies from school to school, as we have seen. We have not seen any school having the same kind of admission form, right? But this is a standard demo purpose admission form that we have. So you can see here that all this information, you can fill it out, and all these information will be available in the system for the student, right? And this admission form that is there, it's a printable admission form, right? And as soon as you fill out the admission form, you can see a student number is generated, which is in this case we call ADCON number. It is generated. So automatic generation of student ID, automatic filling, the filling out of admission form and having them in the system, and the print of the admission form. All of these features, they are available. And it is here where we can provide you the links where you can upload the documents if you want. We have seen many schools, they want to have certain documents available for the specific students, right? So all of these features we have culminated together and put it in this admission piece, right? Besides, as I said before, also there's a concept of where the student can book an exam and things like that. So this is again the admission piece that we were talking about, right? Okay. So now that we are done with the course scheduling and management piece, and now we are done with the admission piece, Now let's come to the next piece, which is very important and related to the financials a little, which is the enrollment procedure. Okay. So the enrollment procedure essentially for K-12 schools, what they mean is assignment of the students to the classes. And what we do as soon as the students are assigned to the classes, uh, we provide the students with the bills that they have to pay and the entire breakup of why they are paying this much amount, and what are the components based on which the payments are made, and all of this information. So this becomes a primary tool for all the registrars or the administrators again, as to how they can assign a specific, say suppose, section to the specific section to the various students. So think
Sir
of it in
Bajit,
this.
Bajit, excuse me,
Yeah, hi.
and full. Okay. At this moment, let's encourage anyone who wants to ask some questions,
Sure.
because this is actually very important already. We were talking about enrollment registrars tied up to the cloud solution. Anyone? Phone?
Dạ, các anh chị, không biết anh chị bên trường mình hoặc là bên ELA hay bên Apex Leader cứ hỏi ạ. Tại vì mình đã vào nghiệp vụ rồi thì có cái gì thì cứ hỏi bên em. I think everyone will save the Q&A for a later session.
Okay, so I just wanted to add a little bit to what Sarbajit was saying, which is that while the flow will be similar, the formats of things like the admissions form and things like that could be different. In fact, they typically are made to match whatever is the website of the school, so it doesn't look like it came from anywhere else. So this is just from a demonstration account. So it does not match any particular school. It's a fictitious school, in fact, the Sunrise School.
Exactly.
But for every school that will use this, however is the look of their school website, the admission form will also match that, even down to the color scheme. Over to you, Sarbajit.
Okay. Thank you, Rana. That was a very valuable input. And yeah, so let's move on to the next piece that I was discussing, which is the enrollment. And Ria, let's take up the questions. Maybe once we are done, there are two more pieces that we have to see, and then we can move on to the questions. All right. Okay. So as I was saying before, so the enrollment process essentially, think of it like you have 60 to 70 students who are there in grade 11, right? And you have 3 sections, and you want all 20 students each to be assigned to each of the sections, right? So in that case, this assignment is done based on this block planning. And while the section assignment is done, a bill is generated against the student's name automatically. So it's not like you have to see that, okay, the student belongs to grade 11. In that case, I have to charge them this specific X amount, right? So in that case, the system automatically fetches that, okay, that the student is being assigned to grade, say suppose 11, and to this specific section. So in that case, let's assign them, let's charge them this much. They find it automatically and they create a bill against their name. Okay. Now, if I show you in the process flow format, this is essentially how this looks like. So the student essentially makes the payment plan selection. So there are various types of payment plans that is there. We have seen schools where they take in payments monthly. We've seen schools where the payments are taken quarterly. Certain schools take in half yearly, or some of them may take it upfront as well, right? So we provide the schools with the opportunity or the feature that they can select their payment plan, and they can make the deposit, and based on that, the end student section can be assigned and tuition bills can be generated against the student, right? So let's see how that looks like in the system. This module essentially in edERP terms is called block planning. Okay, so I will go here. Just a minute. I need to, yeah. I will go here, edERP K12, and then I move to block planning here. And based on the various kind of filters, I will see that the number of students are coming up, and I will assign each of them to a particular section, right? So this is what is, let the page load once more. It's taking a little time. Just a minute. Okay, while the page loads, in this case, you will see that based on the various academic years, those are there. You can plan your schools. So here it is. You can see that this block planning, when I say block planning, we assign sections to the students, right? As I said. So for 2021 academic year and for semester 1, we are assigning, say, suppose for grade 3. Okay. Now let's see who are the students who are available for this grade 3. So ideally, this should bring up all the students who have taken admission for grade 3. And based on that, we can select certain students and assign them a couple of sections, right? So let's see. So this bring, as soon as I search the students, so these are all the students who have taken up. So you can see there are 18 students in this case, right? And suppose you want to assign all of these 18 students to a specific section, right? So in this case, we have two sections which we have named according to cities, but these two are essentially sections. You can call it A or B as well, right? So let's say I want to assign Mark, Laika, and say suppose Nedi, right? These three students to this section, Sarangani, right? So in that case, I select the section and I submit it. So in that case, you will see that all of these students together, they will be assigned a specific, will be assigned to the student. Let's just open up the student record once and see how it looks like. So these students will be, right now they will have just the grade 3 assigned to them and no sections associated, right? So just a minute, I will open it up. So this is one of the student records. Again, this view that I'm showing, this is essentially a view for the administrator or the registrars. This is not the student's view. This is what the administrators get to see in NetSuite, a complete 360-degree view of the student record, which I'll come back to a little later, right? So you can see the student is not been assigned to any batch here, right? So I will submit this, and so as soon as this is done, ideally the student should be assigned to the section that we have assigned them to, right? Of all those three students. So in that case, imagine this, as I said, you want to assign 20 different students to a specific section and you want them to be charged automatically, right? So this charging can be done there. All right. So let it finish once. I think it's almost done. Now once this is done, in that case the student will be assigned a batch here, and all the other information which we have filled. By the way, while this is loading up, let me show you one more thing. While you remember how we filled out the admission form, I showed you how the admission form looks like, right? So all the information that you have provided for the student, all those information, they have come up and gathered themselves here in the system. So as an administrator also, you have a complete view as to what all the student has filled in. So you can see here, these are some of the information that has been filled out, the father's name, mother's name, and all these information, that those were there, right? Now, while it is loading, let me just show you how automatically a bill is generated against the student's name. So this is a student who was created previously, and Now it is loaded up. Did it just load for once? Okay, so this is the bill that has been generated against the student's name, and you will have the complete view, or rather, or maybe the student will also have the complete view as to based on what the student has been charged, right? So a specific amount. So in this case, the student has been charged an amount of 29,800, right? But how suddenly this 29,800 come up, or will be the obvious question, right? So you can see here, since the student is taking admission for the first time, there's a basic tuition fee of 23,000. There are registration fees, there's a medical dental fee, there's guidance services, and all these information, those are there, right? So this is again something that has to be set up in the system previously as to how you want to charge the students, and based on that, the student will have automatically bills generated against their name. All right, so now as the student has been billed already, uh, I think it's my internet connection, that's why it's taking a little time to. So you can see here, the student that we worked on, the three students, you remember we were assigning sections to those three students. So that student essentially has been assigned to a very specific batch in this case, right? So you solve two purposes with this block planning process. You assign the sections to the students, and you bill the students automatically, right? So two purposes are solved, right? All right, the next piece that we are going to discuss now that we are done with enrollment uh, is the piece that what is done by the faculties. So it is essential for the system to provide something for the faculties as well, because the main major components in a school, they belong to the students or the faculties or the administrators, right? So we have a portal for the students or the parents, we have a portal for the administrators. Now we need to see how the portal for the faculty looks like, and there are multiple activities that can be done by the faculty in the system. Like, say, suppose they can grade the students, they can print out their report cards. Suppose you are the class teacher or something like that, and you want to print out the report cards of your students and send them out, right? So that can be done via the portal of the faculty, right? So we have seen sometimes that many teachers, they grade the student, but later on they have a requirement that they might have to correct the grades, right? So in that case, there's a concept of petitioning of grades as well, right? Besides, the faculties, they want to monitor the attendance of the students as well in the system. So those things also can be taken care of. So with this edERP, you're going completely digital and getting rid of the pen and paper. So instead of having all this attendance sheets and things like that, you can just put in the attendance in the system and you're good to go. And the attendance of the students remain in the cloud, right? So let's see how the faculty portal looks. I'm sorry, I'll open a different page. How the faculty portal looks like in the system, right? So imagine this here. In this case, this Kathy Gutierrez, she is one of the faculties, and these are some of the things that she can do in the system itself. K12 calendar displays the faculty. Suppose this Kathy person, she goes to school and she wants to see what are the times I have the classes on, right? So she will open up her phone, go to her portal and see that, okay, this Monday from 8 to 9 I'm free, but I have a class from 9 to 10. So that calendar display will be available for the faculty, right? Then comes this student management, where they can assess their grades. So I'll just show you how this looks like. And there are other features as well, the grade petition that I said, where they can correct the grades that they have provided to the students. They can put in the attendance of the students, they can have the appointment request. Suppose they want to see a student, right? Or maybe a parent has requested to meet the faculty, right? So in that case, they can see the appointment request list. So you see how the seamless the communication between the parents or the faculty, parent faculty, student faculty, or even the student and the school becomes seamless, right? You have a system and they can communicate via the system itself. That maybe say suppose my parent, my mom would have loved this because I used to be a very naughty kid, right? So every time if she wanted to keep a track as to how and what I am doing in school, so I'm sure she would have utilized this and asked to meet my meet my class teacher every time a month, right? And my teacher would have the appointment request list here, right? So this this is another facet of edERP where we have made the communication between the parents and the student with the faculty and the school very seamless via the introduction of the system, right? So you can see here, this is the department, and maybe say suppose I'm supposed to teach just this course, right? So you can see in this case, since this is a demo instance, I just have one student here, and I can grade this student according to the necessity here. So we have seen schools, some of the schools they want to grade via GPA, some of the schools want to grade via the grades. So we have kept both the options here, so you can grade the students accordingly, right? So this is another pillar of edERP, which is the grading and attendance module. So just to wrap it up, what we have seen here is there are 4 different pillars of edERP, which are taken care of. The first one is the course management, where you can schedule your classes based on the faculties and timings, and ensuring that there's no overlap of classes, overlap of faculties and everything. The second pillar is the student's admission procedure, where the student fills out the admission form, books the exam, and proceeds forward. The third one is the block planning, where you can assign the section to the students, and create the bills against their name automatically. And the fourth one is the faculty aspect, where they can grade the students, where they can keep a track of the attendance of the student and all these information, right? Again, edERP caters to many other things, right? But this is together to capture your interest. These are the 4 very important modules or the pillars which build up edERP essentially, right? So this is what I wanted to show in terms of the system, what edERP has to offer and everything like that. And now I would like to hand it over to I'd just like to show you how the high level solution flow looks like. So essentially, as I said, course management is the first piece. Based on how the course management is done, all the courses that those are set up, the student admission, and once the student is taken the admission, they take the enrollment based on the course management that has been done, right? So once the student has taken admission and they're taking the enrollment, they will be assigned to classes which are assigned by the course management, right? Then comes the payment module where they make the payment, and once they make the payment, the tuition bills are generated. Again, another very important feature which we have not shown today, but I'm sure it will eventually come up if you move forward. In that case, that automatic transcript generation, which is a very important thing. Then comes the process of grading and assessment. And once the grading and assessment is done, there's another important piece of edERP where we automatically promote students based on the scores that they have made, right? So this is a very high level solution flow in terms of edERP and what it can do, right? So we have tried to cater to the end-to-end issues that we have seen based on our experience and market research of what challenges the schools face in terms of education management, right? And with this, I would like to end my presentation, and I will hand over to Nana. Uh, Nana, so maybe we can discuss a little bit of about the customer success stories, or if you want to add something else to what. Yeah.
Yeah, I think now it's Ton's turn.
Okay.
Shows a little bit of KPIs that can be relevant to CFOs at schools.
Right.
And you just stop sharing your screen